Good morning, everybody. Is this thing on?
Good morning, Roham.
Morning. How are you guys doing?
Great. Happy Saturday, everyone. A cool, crisp Saturday morning in New York. Roham, thank you for taking the time to join us today. Of course, the community has a bunch of great questions and very excited to use this time with you to kind of uh, share exciting updates and relevant discussion points that I'm sure the community's been curious about. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing awesome. Would rather be nowhere else, and I'm excited to jump in. Um, I'm going to be doing more of these in the future. Let's make it a regular thing. Um, so yeah, let's jump into it. Excited to be here.
Fantastic. So yeah, we have a long list of topics that we're going to discuss, and we took these directly from the community over the last few days. Community, thank you so much for your passion and for taking the time to ask these questions. So we're just going to go down a long list, and we're going to start with Fandom Tier. Um, and Roham, what are the biggest lessons learned so far from the Fandom Tier addition to the Top Shot ecosystem, and how has that tier evolved in your vision and your plans?
That's a great question. I mean, first, I think from an accessibility perspective, it's been awesome. Over 100,000 people own the D Wade moment right now, and a lot of them, for a new user, we saw it was a very clean sort of conversion path, and then lets us kind of teach them about everything else in Top Shot. And so, from an accessibility perspective, I think it's been awesome and a really easy sort of way to get new users to see some of the magic of the platform, and maybe we can make it uh, more and more sort of lively there. But one of the so I think non-challenge related fandom moments will likely continue to have a very widely variable mint count related to the demand, and I think that's kind of magic in a sense. But one of the things that I've realized, and I think is really important to sort of figure out and communicate more clearly in the product, is the extreme difference between the rarity of a rare and legendary moment, just how important scarcity is, how important scarcity is from a go forward perspective as well, where we're publishing roadmaps of exactly how many new rare legendary editions will be created, and even at a player level, there's rules around it. And so for I think we should separate fandom from kind of the higher tier moments. And when you have a legendary challenge, it should result in a legendary reward, not a fandom tier reward. And so for a new user, it should be easy to understand. Um, the what's the right place to start, but also what's kind of the pinnacle of the experience, both from mostly from a rarity perspective, but also from a utility, etc.
Yeah, very well said. Totally hear that. I think the summer of 21 was all about experimentation, and we certainly learned a lot. Um, and I think we're gonna take those learnings and apply them going into Series 3 and going forward. Uh, Moving ahead here, has there been? I think one of the biggest things we've seen in the past few weeks, months, has been a call for more centralized and consistent communication. In your eyes and vision, what are some thoughts there toward applying a more consistent and centralized communication channel to Top Shot?
Well, I mean, one is I'll make myself more available and just jump into some of these kind of Q&As. And today's is going to be long, and I think there's a lot of questions. But hey, there's a little bit of background noise coming through. Can we whoever is not muted, can we mute? Okay, cool. Um, but I think like ultimately going forward, communication has to be in product, and so we're trying out a lot of in product messaging, fast facts, but also video, as in you're sort of given the information you need right at the moment you need it, and And also try to experiment with video for office hours, like updates on a more regular basis. So I think the most important thing to realize is a new user can't go through and read up on tons of different blogs, and sort of understand a lot of rules. They need to kind of be hit with the information they need right when they need it. And I think we're making really good progress there.
Yeah, you mentioned lots of blogs, and in recent weeks, in particular, we've seen some issues with editing and QA. The community's been asking, what are the steps that are being taken to combat those QA issues that are, in my eyes, unacceptable and don't meet our standards?
Well, I mean, I guess first, I 100% agree. These issues can't be happening at this level, and as you know, we've taken them super seriously. And first step has just been adding more rounds of QA, and really both paying a lot more attention to information that goes on chain because it's impossible to change. Sort of recorded to the flow blockchain is what I mean. Even though we've seen when we do make mistakes, sometimes it creates value for the moment. Like in Lisa Leslie's basically, I think at this point one of the most famous misprints on Top Shot. But let's keep them very rare, and so that's been the goal. So we've added two extra rounds of editors on both moment descriptions as well as challenge details. We are exploring ways to tag in the community. We've asked our partners at the NBA to also step up and help. And then we're also hiring from the community. One of the biggest things I was um, just really kind of, touched by is so many people with real collections said, "Hey, look, I'm willing to freeze my collection and come join you guys and help you figure out this problem because I'm already 24/7 in Top Shot." Um, and so I think you might have seen Austin put out a specific call to action. Lots of people have been DMing me, um, and I hope that the combination of all of these things will make these issues a thing of the past, which should make some of the misprints even more valuable over time.
Yeah, all great updates for sure. Last time you were on, you spoke about giving back a percentage of marketplace sales to collectors. Do we have any updates on that?
Absolutely. So for those that don't know, the Top Shot Marketplace charges a 5% fee for every transaction. I mean, that's what kind of powers the marketplace. That's also what aligns incentives between the NBA, NBA players, and collectors. Where for the first time, as a particular collectible increases in value and changes hands, the a portion of that fee keeps going back to the player as well as the league. So what we've been working through is especially for collectors who joined us and who spent on the marketplace, and so paid these fees in a sense from especially this year. We want to give we want to take portions of that fee and basically divide it up and redistribute it back to people in the community. We'll be doing it in the next couple months, and it'll be structured based on marketplace. So it'll be tiered based on marketplace spend and activity within the product. And the goal being to say, well, look, we've gone through a lot this year. There's a lot more coming, and so let's really give a gift back to the community and hit the ground running together.
Awesome. Yeah, very excited for that. I know that's been one of the big ones from the community. So thanks for sharing some more context there. Um, Here's another big one. Uh, Kind of the topic du jour, topic of the week. Will we see more benefits for holding specific team sets from Top Shot and teams directly?
Um, yes. Well, if we're talking about team sets and team collections, we look at Top Shot as the future of fandom, and you can post about how big of a fan of a particular team you are, but if you hold a large collection of that team's assets and Top Shots, you're putting money where your mouth is. You're putting a stake in the ground and saying, "Hey, I'm a believer in the future of this team, these players." And so, absolutely, the teams want to know that information. They want to be able to reward those collectors. It is, as you might imagine, logistically lots of details to work through. Um, but we think that team sets should correspond directly, um, or rather, team collections should correspond directly um, to benefits within for being a team and not being a team's fan. And that might start pretty straightforward, where the top, thousand collectors or 10,000 collectors of a particular team might get, an entry level benefit, discounts, etc. But then, as you get more and more of a fan, the biggest fan of a team should get courtside seats. The biggest fan of a team should get access to some of these experiences that we've been, experimenting with, where we take players and we take them, and really give them an experience that money can't buy. It's something that you can, behind the scenes, and kind of getting closer to the um, um, to the sport in a way not possible before. So absolutely around team collections, and this is a little bit kind of too high level. And so what I've asked the team to do, our marketing team, is to put together very specific, um, essentially like a reward schedule to say, hey, if you're, top 1,000, this is what you get. If you're top 100, this is what you get. And that will evolve every season as our relationship with each of the teams and the NBA evolves as well. And ultimately, this data is public on the blockchain, and so you could imagine, in the future, a startup building an app that lets stores around the stadium, around the arena, check a particular user's Top Shot account, see how big of a collector they are, and give them free benefits or incentives to say, well, look, if you're a huge Mavs fan, I want you to come bring your friends to my hot dog shop before this. So we're kind of thinking through these things on a very ultra long scale, but right now we want to kind of put out some concrete um, guidelines on, you know, if you hit this level, this is kind of what you get. And, at the end of the day, team fandom is going to be a competition with um, with both between the teams as well as um, with other fans of a particular team. And so that's kind of how I would think about it.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. And just to provide a little more color there, uh, from the conversations that we've been having, it seems like it's going to be almost like three tiers of like the entry level collector or the entry level team set, which might just be based on series team set, series two specifically. And then as you kind of work your way up, as you mentioned, competition amongst collectors of a specific team to show off who the biggest fan is. So can't wait for all of that. And on a very similar note, Roham, uh, there's obviously team sets, but then there are the sets that we create, the Top Shot sets. Um, what are our kind of plans there? Obviously, Nine Lives Lounge has been the flagship Soho house of Top Shot. Are there plans for other rewards for other complete set holders?
Yeah, I would expect so. Series three is going to be very big on airdrops, and those are going to be aimed particularly at the biggest collectors of rare and legendary. Well, if you're a collector of rare and legendary sets, that you should expect to be kind of rewarded with airdrops as well, because you're sort of proving yourself as a fan of that particular set within Top Shot. That's sort of how we think about it. And so you'll see this begin with Fresh Threads, which is our first common limited edition drop of this season. We haven't done a rare or legendary drop yet, um, which is interesting. So it'll be announced this week, sort of full details. But that's kind of the expectation I would have. And then if you're we'll have Discord channels for. Well, I guess we'll start with Discord channels for team sets, but for Top Shot sets, a big part of where we want to take things is also Top Shot specific merch, that only holders of those specific set moments, whether full set or not, would have access to. And you can imagine, cosmic merch for cosmic holders, so on and so forth. And that's been, as you know, somewhat complicated with navigating all of the different rules and whatnot. But I think we've made enough progress that I'm comfortable kind of talking about it now. And there's that's the kind of thing that really takes Top Shot and sort of everything that we're doing Top Shot and then pulls it out and says, well, it's culturally relevant, it's in real life, something you can show off in real life. And if you're a legendary set holder and the only way you can get that cosmic hoodie is by having that cosmic set, that's going to be a great thing to wear courtside.
Yeah, you mentioned the merch. Obviously, that's been a high in demand question, and just knowing how well the strategy is coming along with the NBA. Can't wait to kind of share more details there as soon as those are ready. Um,
Oh, one thing we forgot. Every holder of a complete legendary set will be receiving an infinite object sent to them by the end of the year. Merry Christmas.
Christmas coming early. Roham playing the role of Santa this Saturday. Thank you for that update. Very exciting. Um, and yeah, I think now might be a decent time to just kind of contextualize just how scarce legendary moments are. Um, our economist wanted to make sure that the community knew uh, there will be a max of 132 additions for legendary moments from the current season in Series 3. Um, so, of course, completing those legendary sets justifies extremely positive and extremely exciting rewards on a continuous basis, not just this one infinite object. I think you'll see a lot of that throughout the season. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And like similar to the team set comment, we want to kind of be very concrete and specific with as much as this as possible. So it is on the team's list to kind of break it down and eventually put it in product so that part of the onboarding. Although what we've also seen is different audiences are common collector versus legendary collector, um, and how can we target them and give them the right information right where they need it.
Wonderful. Very exciting. Um, of course, mentioned the Nine Lives Lounge, our first gated channel on the Discord, first of many to come, but the flagship kind of Soho house of the Top Shot experience. In an AMA you did there, it was mentioned that there would be benefits for having a high collector score. Um, what is kind of the vision there and maybe very rough timeline?
Yeah, look, what we've done with collector score. What's the right way to answer this question? I think the specific timeline will be at the same time as more details around team collection benefits. So definitely, I mean, in the next 30 days, we want to lock all this in before um, the end of the year in terms of sort of the specifics there. And it's in the same thread of, hey, biggest fans, how can you represent that? How can it be publicly visible? How can and once it's publicly visible, um, people will want to provide benefits to it, but of course, Top Shot will also provide benefits. And so you can imagine, I mean, leaderboards are going to be a very straightforward expression of it, where we want to show um, top shot collectors, but also top team team fans, and collector score is a part of that. So the and the reason that we've prioritized, um, we haven't actually put our attention on the highest collector score users in a sense because they're also in many ways our most loyal community members. Um, but it's time to sort of turn our eye to that, and honestly, it's a set of pretty straightforward benefits to sort of put in place and kind of recognize the skill people have put in the game. So we'll share more specifics on that at the same time in team sets.
So, Roham, just getting some feedback from the community that your audio is kind of a little choppy. I don't know if you can leave and rejoin. Maybe that could help. Just want to make sure that there's no issue there. Apologies.
Is it better now? I had gone outside. Maybe that was why.
Yep, sounds a lot better already.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So switching gears a little bit here. Obviously, we have a bunch of new collectors that came into Top Shot this summer through the WNBA, a really landmark launch and a very exciting future ahead. But one frequent question we're getting from the collectors of WNBA moments is why have they not yet received a series team bonus?
Um, well, I mean, the reality is not enough moments have been minted from each team, and so if the full set received the bonus now, the cost to complete, and then the essentially it would be a disproportionate stacking bonus, and every NBA WNBA moment would be worth 20 points. It would shoot the it would basically make those moments less accessible to real WNBA fans. And so I think the right move is to be patient. This is our first season working with the W, and then to introduce some of these sort of laddering up concepts as the economy demands it in a way. And so that's kind of how I would describe it. We're sort of, just like Top Shot, we're focused on building a multi-decade, 100+ year product here. Um, lay the foundation and then build block by block.
Absolutely. And on the same WNBA note, um, there were some frustrations around kind of the elongated timeline of when certain challenges related to WNBA sets and drops would be coming out. We still have at least one more to come. Um, Obviously, we've now had 3 seasons with the NBA, this being our first season of partnership with the WNBA. Um, maybe you could speak a little bit to kind of the learnings of feeling out new partners and building up a relationship that optimizes for long-term success.
Um, yeah, look, Eh, well, this is kind of an unprecedented activity even for them, right? Like it's not like any of these leagues are. So what I would expect is every season things will get smoother, and every season we'll be able to deliver more volume at a sort of faster clip, and more volume in the sense of challenges and activities and airdrops, and as well as kind of the best quality content. Um, and so I mean, I guess same answer. It's early days. We love the W. We've got a multi-year partnership, and absolutely love how active so many of the athletes have been and jumped in. And I think the W itself is just getting started. They had the best year ever, um, and maybe in a small part thanks to Top Shot. Um, and, uh, and so we're excited to build that up as the years go on.
Absolutely. I know anecdotally, just from speaking to so many of our collectors, how many of them got into the WNBA, especially around playoff time. So, just a testament to Top Shot bringing you closer and enhancing your experience as a fan. So, very exciting. Very excited for the future there. Speaking of the future, and you know, changing gears slightly here, um, we obviously did the Top Shot kiosk at Vegas Summer League. Met with a ton of fanfare and excitement. Community's been wondering why haven't we seen more kiosks, and what is the thinking around kiosks in general?
I think this thinking around kiosks is are absolutely incredible, and we're playing around with more in real life activations as well, right? Like those of you that were able to come to New York, that was an epic event the team put on, and those are great ways to bring the community together, especially as um, the sort of uh, health situation improves, um, but they also cost a lot of the team's time, and so partially we're just trying to be in the first phase of this season. We really want to kind of tweak the digital growth engines, make sure the conversion flow is good, fix the onboarding issues, answer these key questions that even our longtime community members are asking around, hey, you said this, when are you going to deliver it? Let's just deliver on all those things. Take care of our existing collectors as well, and have a strong base that we can really just put the afterburners on. And so you will see us do in person. You will see us do crazy stuff this season. And I guess I think I can say we'll be at the very least in Cleveland in a big way for All Star. Um, but that's kind of the thinking behind it is we want to build a strong foundation, take care of our existing collectors, deliver on some of the um, both commitments as well as just product features. We know we gotta activate, fix the communication challenge, make sure that people can just get the information they need in the product, and then turn on the taps in a big way.
You heard it here first, folks. We'll see you in Cleveland. Very excited for that. Moving ahead here, you mentioned a lot of optimizations to make, and some of them kind of longer term, uh, big projects that the team's already taking on. But on a kind of more intermediate or shorter term note, what are some quick wins that the community can expect?
Yeah, Arthur is really leading the charge on some of this and doing an awesome job. You should follow him on Twitter if you're not already. But number one, scale and speed of the queue. It'll take a few drops, but we have a number of optimizations. I think the last one or last couple were even faster than before, and we're having more and more collectors join as the kind of season warms up. So, and again, we haven't even done a rare or legendary drop. So so you'll expect a lot. You should expect improvements there, um, and collection sorting. In terms of kind of alphabetical sorting was shipped last night. We know that your collection is basically your sort of your profile, and so you should have the ability to make it look however way you want it to look. And so that's the thing that's going through both design cycles as well as some quick wins. Again, in the theme of kind of taking care of our existing collectors. Collector score is just simply too just too much to deal with, and so we're exploring visualizations and other ways to kind of onboard a user more seamlessly into it. So they're going through a journey, not necessarily, um, you know, kind of looking at a spreadsheet. And then calendar. So this is a time-based product, and yet they're mostly because of operational realities, just in the as we kind of get in the flow with things. We don't yet have kind of a calendar. Boom, this is everything that's coming up, drops, challenges, etc. And not like ruining the surprise and the details and sort of some of the pizzazz that we can still keep and put, but like give people enough information that they can make decisions and can also sort of know what's coming down the pipe. So I think that's another quick win. And then we're seeing some community bots in terms of sharing, price data or rather, sales data. Hey, this LeBron sold for $50,000, whatever it is, and that's a really important that level of like both transparency as well as kind of just highlighting kind of top sales is really important. So we're going to figure out how to the right way to push it in product, but then also do we need to help set up an official bot so that new collectors can know what to follow. I mean, I'm not sort of tied to that. If we can get community resources to sort of stay up, um, consistently, then maybe that's better. But that's another win we're exploring because it's really cool to see when when the room starts heating up and different collectors taking action. So that's my list. I don't know if I missed anything.
Yeah, certainly not comprehensive of all that's being worked on. Of course, these were caveated under quick wins, but there are plenty of even bigger wins that might take slightly longer to get into product, and I'm very excited about all of those. Um, Roham, you mentioned earlier that you anticipate airdrops being a big part of Series 3. There have been some questions around why Run It Back holders got archive packs. Is this kind of telegraphing how we're envisioning rewarding collecting going forward?
Yeah, look, I mean, if you were running back collector before we did our first archive packs, you're basically sharing and showing and sort of putting skin in the game that you want to have a collection of historical moments, and so then you're the perfect person to distribute these archive packs to because um, you'll sort of appreciate them, but also it might it might get you started on your journey to collecting an archive set. And so absolutely, it's a big sort of taste, I guess, of how we want to kind of evolve the experience going forward as we get access to more content that we can airdrop. And I think it's a very healthy way to introduce some of the best moments in history into kind of circulation, um, aimed at the right people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you mentioned the legendary set collectors who are going to be getting infinite objects, and I anticipate rare and legendary set collectors and some common set collectors for that matter just being really excited about the consistent upkeep of rewarding them for their collections. And on that note, kind of in the similar vein, collectors are curious as there is a decent time period between drops and always the opportunity to increase your collector score to qualify for a drop. What are some simple solutions or thoughts that we're putting behind incentivizing collectors to hold their moments and keep their collection pristine in between these drops?
Well, look, a lot of these things that we're talking about around airdrops and sets, team benefits, etc. It's not going to be a hey, buy these five things, get this thing, and then you can flip the five things. That's not. It's going to take time into account, and so staking, for those that don't know, is a sort of crypto term where you lock up some crypto assets, and then you kind of get more crypto assets in return. And that's not dissimilar in a kind of but in a much more you know collectibles and gamification and sort of, I mean, at the end of the day, the purpose here is to also have fun and be part of the community. So that's absolutely. I mean, there's like I was sharing about the calendar. Time is a very underutilized element in the current product experience, and again, mostly because of um, this is a very young product and it's a very young category, um, and um, and so in a lot of ways we haven't had time to ironically put in um, sort of these sort of time-based factors. But we absolutely will going forward because the definition of loyalty, right, and fandom is time-based. If you've been the biggest fan of a particular team or player even before they were big, well, one is that you probably purchased those assets at a much lower price, but also you should be recognized sort of in the UI as well as um, with um, um, benefits in the product for that. Um, so absolutely. And as for like collector score itself and between drops, like again, the calendar will help a little bit because it'll make it very clear what's the next thing to look forward to. I think the fact that if some people might dump their moments in between things, that might give an opportunity for sort of true collectors to be able to jump back in, purchase at a lower price, and then hold and then benefit from the benefits of holding. Um, so all in all, I think as the market matures, um, it'll balance itself out.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Okay, so another thing that the community's been asking for is utility, and this was a big week for us to kind of flex the utility of having a dynamic collection. We saw 5 showcase challenges go live this week, including 2 novel flash challenges. Do you anticipate flash challenges being a big part of Series 3 going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, these are just building blocks that we're putting in place, and we'll continue improving. So we'll have at least a couple, or yeah, I think we're aiming to have at least a couple of flash challenges a week, alongside regularly scheduled showcase challenges. We want to have at least 3 or 4 challenges going on every week. Ultimately, it should be an everyday thing. Ultimately, it should be a personalized thing where you complete a challenge and you get the next challenge, you get the next challenge, and there might be different rules. Some of them might be consumptive. Some of them might be might involve um, the moments getting locked inside a new moment. I mean, we there's lots of design space that we haven't yet explored, and will take a longer period of time to explore. But to kind of get the product to be hyper engaging and to essentially reward people for maintaining collections, and being able to have sort of jump on everybody else because they already have the pieces they need to play the game in a way. Yeah, I expect to see a lot more of that as we keep building.
That's absolutely fantastic. Very excited for all of it. Um, Somewhat unrelated one here, a little bit of a wild card that we saw. Holiday season coming up. Collectors curious about kind of Dapper gift cards as a long term possibility. Is that something that has kind of crossed your radar at all?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would love to. I would love it. And Dapper credit cards too, right? And everything. We're a little more focused on the immediate kind of core of the product. But absolutely, I think that this, you know, uh, honestly, it's not something I would commit to for this holiday season. But it is such an obvious growth vector that we have to take advantage of. Certainly before next holiday season, but maybe and then but testing it well before then.
Awesome. Um, Okay, next one. Obviously, community has seen the news. NFL and Dapper partnering up. Many are excited, but some are rightfully wondering kind of how those two uh, products will interact. So, for the community's awareness, are there any features with NFL at launch that Top Shot won't support? And this collector made clear to say thank you for your time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for thanking me. Look, NFL is built on it's a new code base. So what we've taken is we've taken the all of the learnings from Top Shot, and but we've really rebuilt kind of the marketplace dynamics in a way that Top Shot will, well, not the marketplace dynamics, sorry, the actual sort of front end of the product in a way that will pull back into Top Shot, as well as the smart contract, etc. And simply because it's easier to experiment, or it's easier to implement ideas in a sort of thing that's not moving and doesn't have any uh, it's not a live product yet versus it'll take some iteration to kind of, I mean, we're pulling all the features back into Top Shot, but it'll there will be a couple of things that NFL will have out the gate. Nothing massive like mobile, but the biggest thing they will have is tradable packs. And so packs, we figured out a way to make packs on chain, on the Flow blockchain. So they will be NFTs themselves, and they will be tradable. And we'll do the same thing with NBA Top Shot packs that are currently not tradable. But it's been I'm super excited about it because it'll be it'll be it'll do 2 things. Obviously, it'll create trading volume, et cetera, et cetera. But what it does is it fixes the user experience for a new user, because they can come in and they can basically open any pack they want, and it's just a question of price. Today, you come to Top Shot and you can only open a common pack, and that's not, that's not as exciting as it could be. But if you could come in and buy a rare pack from a user, or a series one, cosmic pack that sort of comes from 2020, that and it's kind of like StockX, right? You can go buy a shoe from the 80s or the 90s, um, as well as the latest thing that just sold out. And I think that's going to be that's going to be powerful, and it's going to also like create and highlight a lot of interest in those older moments. So I think PAX Marketplace is going to be very impactful. NFL is going to get it before NBA, but um, I think that's um, that it'll accelerate the NBA product getting it as well. So that's why I think it's a positive thing.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And you just mentioned 2020. This one's been a long-standing question. Community's been asking. Are there any updates around the conference finals rare packs from Series One and when they'll be burned? So sorry, to be more specific, the rare moments from those packs. We had mentioned at launch of those packs and those drops that if they don't sell out, we're going to burn them. Are there any updates around when that burning might take place?
Yeah, it'll take place this week. It's taken too long, and there have been lots of reasons for it. Largely, kind of making sure that we're checking the box from technical as well as legal perspective. And it's a simply an inventory burn. So you might see similar things in the future in terms of, hey, we've sold. We would sell an item and we say, hey, we'll destroy any unsold inventory. I mean, people do it at luxury goods retailers and whatnot as well. So yeah, WCF, Eastern Conference, Western Conference, packs that were unsold from way back when will be destroyed next week.
That is a Roham bomb. That is exciting. I know the community's been wanting that for a while. So uh, that will that will change the fabric, and I think it's just step one toward what that could look like long term. From my understanding, we're very much looking at kind of uh, how do I phrase it? These moments, especially the Western Conference and Eastern Conference finals, when they are burned, the denominator at the outset might not change, but over time, we're going to investigate ways to make that burning more clear and evident in the UI for our collectors as they're kind of browsing. Moving along here, here's a good one. Uh, will will we have a referral program at some point?
Yeah, we absolutely will. I mean, we always plan to, but the biggest consideration has been fraud, and now we're in such a good place. You look at any other NFT project, and they don't even know who their users are. But every user on Top Shot uh, you know is a real user, is a real person. We have the ability on the back end to track fraudulent sales and block those withdrawals, and we're thanks to the team. I feel like we're in a really really good spot to sort of turn on the taps for kind of refer a friend, and eventually kind of full scale affiliate. That's not, I don't know if I would expect it. I don't think you should expect it before the sort of the next month or so. But it is absolutely a big lever, and this is a social product. We It's more enjoyable if you're playing it with friends. It's more enjoyable if you're ripping packs with friends, if you're trading with friends, if you can invite your friends easily and get them into the experience. We totally get that. And I kind of similar to what I said earlier. I think it's important to lock down and kind of make sure the foundation is really strong and the current collectors are taken care of, and then they'll want to bring their friends, and absolutely we want to kind of recognize that and gamify that, and 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 sort of lean into that in a big way.
That'll be amazing. And I think a very similar topic here, just the general topic of collector base growth. As CEO, what are your goals for the number of new collectors added to the Top Shot community by the end of Series 3?
Um, well, we're very focused on per user metrics right now. But I think minimum we want to double the collector base um, this season, and that includes the not just the people that have one Top Shot, but people that go through the activation loop and actually understand what Top Shot is and become highly retained long term collectors. Um, so I know in October we added 50,000 registered users, and there's always a there's sometimes a delta between being a registered user and then buying your first moment, participating in your first pack drop. We had 150,000 people join the last common pack drop queue. We've had 30,000 new registered users in November alone. No marketing, of course. So it's a start, but as the foundation gets strong, we're going to turn on the taps. And the goal is to but the goal is to bring high quality users and to give them a good experience.
Absolutely. That's super exciting. We also just have to give a shout out. Shout out Janie, our new VP of growth, comes with a wealth of experience and is super analytical on all of these things. So the work that she's already doing to kind of implement uh, kind of key things for us to look for as we're laying that foundation has been super exciting to see.
Yeah, Janie led growth for the EA Sports portfolio. Before that, she was at DraftKings. Before that, she was at Reddit. Yeah, it's been great working with her. Good shout out, Jacob.
Awesome. So here's one that we saw, and taking it directly from Packrip Media's list of questions. Who's in charge of Top Shot, and why aren't we hearing from you or them more often?
Um, I mean, Packard also sort of called out obviously our post saying Tristan as GM of so Tristan is GM of Chop Shot. Um, you obviously Jacob and we have a very flat hierarchy, and um, we have a lot of folks that kind of take ownership over these issues, and sometimes that is partially what leads to some QA problems. But I would say I'm stepping in a lot closer as we're kind of rubbers meeting the road on a lot of these product changes. I'm stepping in closer on some of the economy um, design and sort of set utility and team leaderboards and some of these things that we talked about today, simply because they are kind of at the soul of the product or at the heart of the product. It is my top priority. NBA Top Shot is. And look, when we talk about NFL, when we talk about UFC, La Liga, um, it everything. I think is creates network effects. And we've been in a position where we created this category in a lot of ways, but now we have competitors at every single level, whether it's um, people trying to recreate NBA Top Shot for other sports, but also just in every category, people trying to recreate or compete with the Flow blockchain and sort of the network that is being born there. And so, the reality is we need Top Shot needs um, the the global heft and the sort of the resources and network effects from being multi-sport. But that absolutely doesn't mean that Top Shots it'll be the first NFT on Flow always. And the healthier the broader ecosystem is, um, the more the more this sort of higher Top Shot is held on as a standard. And so Um, so that's sort of my message is A, I'm diving deeper into Top Shot. B, all of the other things we're doing as a company, at the end of the day, will benefit Top Shot, um, and protect it um, and and strengthen its sort of long term defensibility. And then the other thing is, we'll try and make the team more other members of the team more visible, but some of the folks you won't hear from, but they've been so instrumental um, in just letting us say and do the things that we're gonna do, um, especially around compliance and legal, and um, we're committed to doing everything the right way, and sometimes that means we can't move fast on certain things, um, but now we can. Um, so I'm excited about all that. So I will be. You'll hear from me more. I want to do these office hours regularly, um, and I'll be in Discord. I hang out in Nine Lives Lounge all the time, um, and uh, and so you know that should help.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks for those updates. Here's one that's been a kind of long-standing question, and something that I know is very much on your radar. What are plans for a bidding feature long term, and is that something that you're actively thinking about?
It is. I believe that I think we've said this internally. Alan said this. Justin said this. Not we. Well, basically, just for people that don't know, our marketplace currently only has a essentially an ask feature. You're saying, "Hey, I want this much for my moment. I'm asking for this much for my moment." It doesn't have a bid feature where someone can come and tell you, "Hey, I bid this much for your moment. I'm willing to give you $100. You wanted 150, but I'm willing to give you 100." And what that creates is it creates, or you didn't even list it. There are moments that are have one or two or zero listings. You didn't even list it, but I make an offer. And what that creates is a two-sided market. What that creates is much higher liquidity. It creates much higher, much very different engagement loops than when we see it on other marketplaces. And so, in a sense, without having a bids feature, we have sort of we have one-legged stool. Um, I mean, you know, assuming stools had two legs instead of three legs. But point being that it's half of the sort of uh, marketplace is missing, and so it is very important. We're looking at what's the fastest and most effective way we can deliver the feature. Is it built like within into NBA Top Shot? Is it can third parties like, let's say, Live Token or Evaluate Market, could they build on top of Flow and create interfaces where people could come in and place bids on other moments, and then a user would get a Dapper email, would just click through and accept that. Um, do we do both? Of course, eventually it's both. So absolutely, it's something that's on. Um, it's not the fastest sort of instant build. You'll have it next week, but it is being prioritized now.
That's super exciting. I know that it'll change kind of how collectors interact with their moments and explore the marketplace whenever it is ready. So, thanks for that update. Um, Here's one that slightly changing gears. Where do you see international collectors fitting into the Top Shop community and ecosystem?
I think the international community is super, super important to us. In the NBA is incredibly international. As other sports come online, like UFC, La Liga, you'll probably see waves of fully kind of international users come in, and I think the first thing they'll want to engage outside of their core sport will be with the NBA. That said, it's a little harder for us, and so long term it's U.S. and international is probably equal, or North America international is equal priority. Short term, the reason that we do pack drops on in times that are better for North America is really around that QA scalability, et cetera issue, and we're getting better and better every time. But um, the sort of the sometimes our payment provider slows down, sometimes our identity provider slows down, and often we pick up the phone and just call up the execs of those companies, and it's easier to, they have more people on staff, et cetera, during, you know, North America time. So that's kind of, I mean, hopefully not an excuse, hopefully an explanation. But international is super important to us. It's something that we're looking to be a lot. We're very conscious of it, but we'll do the best we can to sort of accommodate different drop times, and also for these kinds of events, right? We always do them in the mornings, Pacific time. So potentially we'll do what we can, because you're very important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have that common set being dropped later in Series 3, and that will be celebrating the international game in the specific geographic region around the world where some players are from. And that drop, I would anticipate, will accommodate that time zone to a T. So definitely, we hear you, international collectors, loud and clear. And the beauty of the digital metaverse, as it is, will allow us to kind of connect and enhance your fan experience regularly. Um, Speaking of kind of longer term bucket list items that the community wants to see, or wish list items, I should say, when can we expect an app? And what about an app can it enhance the collector experience in your eyes?
That's a really good question. Well, I think, look, there's no modern consumer product today that's not mobile first, right? And so just even Top Shot, vast majority of our users are using it Safari, which on mobile, which is a, you know not the kind of product experience that we want. So I think that's just the reality. Of modern consumer is on their phones, and expects to, And when I tell people that are total normies about Top Shot, like, oh, that sounds amazing. They open up the App Store, type in Top Shot, and then they show it to me. They say nothing's showing up, right? And so discovery happens on. So that's we've always known that, but it's also a uh, um, it's the single biggest kind of growth lever, and so you sort of want to pull it at the right time. And in terms of what it will enable, I mean, the biggest thing is you carry your collection in your pocket. It loads up super quickly, whether or not you would have internet connectivity. You can show it at an arena. Hey, this is what I have. You can show it off to your friends. You can check it out. You can sit there actually enjoying your moments in a much more smooth and immersive way than I think is even possible on the web. And then, yeah, eventually you'll be able to trade complete showcases on the fly. And you know, one very important kind of utilitarian thing is you'll get push notifications of whether it's pack drops or new challenges that are available just for you. That sort of thing. Messages, offers from other users. It'll make it much more possible to have a sort of dynamic social, um, um, sort of second to second type product. Something happens in the game, you get a push notification, so you can jump in the marketplace, take action on it, so on and so.
That's super exciting. And yeah, obviously, the community as a whole has been looking forward to those types of things. Uh, for a vague timeline, maybe without kind of getting ahead of ourselves, is that something that you would expect to see in 2022? And where does that slot in terms of prioritizations?
Yeah, 2022, um, and no timeline within there. So it could be as late as Q4, um, but could be way earlier.
Great, thank you. Um, how close do you think the team is to improving the queue system? You mentioned it was one of those kind of quicker wins that we have our eye on. As you know, some of our larger common drops require several hours of waiting in a queue. Um, is that something that you anticipate will be kind of addressed and resolved? And what might that look like?
I think it'll be iterative. I think by next quarter it'll be much faster, but I expect us to have much bigger um, um, sort of lineups, and we may have more dynamic things for people to do. Right? Oh, you missed out on the drop. Well, go shop on the marketplace. Maybe here's $5 for you to get your first moment. Oh, you missed out on this drop. Hey, buy this secondary, buy this pack from the marketplace. And so there might just be, and that's just a better user experience. So it'll lead to more users coming and more users staying. Um, and so we've already started making improvements as of last drop. We're going to be looking at it every drop going forward, and there'll be tweaks. There's one major update going in December, um, and then I would expect it to be kind of a Q1 priority. And so it'll get a little bit better next few weeks. It'll get a lot better in Q1, but then we'll also be kind of increasing, complexity and just like um, and then the other thing is we want to make those drop shows. We want to bring drop shows back and make them more of a social experience. Make it easier for you to potentially. I mean, imagine if you could join the queue and then um, potentially prepay in case you get to front of the queue, and then you can be part of the show, or you could kind of leave, and maybe that's okay. So we're experimenting with all of these things as well, but of course the actual per um, person speed will get a lot higher week over week.
That's fantastic. Definitely taking some community feedback into account there. Uh, we're just over an hour here, so we're gonna wrap up shortly. We got two more questions. One of them uh, going to be a very quick answer. I have a feeling I know what your answer will be on that. And then the last one, just kind of looking forward a bit. Uh, so flash challenges, they've been very popular in week one. Um, WNBA collectors are wondering, is this something that they can expect to see when the WNBA comes back next season?
Yes, they can.
Awesome. Yeah, no better way to engage with the game than collecting in the marketplace and building your showcase around a specific uh, topic of the night. And last but certainly not least, Roham, uh, community remarking that 5 showcase challenges this week has been great. Um, can we expect this type of frequency going forward? And do you think that showcase challenges as a whole is something that the team can kind of double down on and figure out ways to optimize and make even better long term?
Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the main priority for us is to have constant engagement, constant reasons to come back, engage with your moments, engage with the Top Shot marketplace, and do it specifically in the context of what's happening in the NBA, and sort of the ebb and flow of every game. And so flash challenges are really a huge proof of concept for that. Um, and touching on sort of interaction that happens every night on Top Shot, and seeing how we can kind of fit to it. So yeah, absolutely. You'll see a lot more of it. You'll see us playing around on the edges. We take every community feedback into account. We take every community idea. We share it internally. A lot of them, it's sort of awesome to see so many of our ideas also kind of you guys coming back at us with the things we're talking about internally. So yeah, that's the mission: daily, constant engagement, closer tie-in with the game of basketball, and sort of having market movements um, uh, sort of follow that. And yeah, we're tremendously excited. And I know you said this is the last question, so like I said, I want to be back. I want to do frequently. I will be in Discord as well, and sort of chat every once in a while, especially in Nine Lives Lounge. Um, and just so grateful for all the feedback, so grateful for all the trust and support that this community puts in us. And I want to shout out my team as well. There's 50 plus people working day and night tirelessly on this product, and there's so much happening under the hood that's not visible because it's blockchain. Everything is a little harder than it should be. but the team just brings it. They're all Jacob included, and it's an honor for me. It's the best thing I could imagine doing with my life, and I'm just grateful for being part of this. So thank you, Jacob, for leading this Q&A as well.
Thank you so much, Roham. Community, thank you for joining in. As Roham said, we'll be doing these more often. Lot of things to be excited about. Flash challenge still going on, or it may just be wrapping up here shortly, and we'll see some more of those this week. If we don't speak to you before Thanksgiving, may you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving and celebrate it with your families. Uh, Certainly grateful and thankful for you all, and looking forward to many of these ahead. Roham, thank you for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule to join us today and answer some uh, less than easy questions. So we look forward to rounding up some more questions for next time. And in the meantime, happy collecting, y'all.
Much love. Take care, everybody.